Happy Crafternoon, everyone. I'm Gina from Gina K Designs, and it's great to see all of you coming in from all around the world. So today I'm going to show you several different ways that you can use wax paper, there we go, wax paper in your card making. Now I do have several wax paper videos from the past, and I saw Brianne Loveland. Thank you, Brianne, for being here. Brianne Loveland already made a playlist and linked it for everybody so that you guys could watch some of the older videos. But today, I'm going to add one more technique to the wax paper grouping of techniques that I have shared in the past. And for those of you that are newer card makers, or maybe you've never seen this before, this is so much fun, and you're going to have a great time trying it. Plus, if you have an iron at home that never gets used, well, now you can actually use it for something other than ironing your clothes. Because, you know, I find that using these kinds of tools, Swiffer dusters, right, irons, all this stuff is so much more fun in crafting than it is in housework. So, with that in mind, before we get started, let's say hello to Tom. Hey, Tom.
Happy Crafternoon.
Oh, my nose is running. I have to go blow my nose for a second.
Sorry we don't match today, but you look quite beautiful in that your favorite color.
This is the Gina K color.
Yeah, look at that.
Right? I match my die cutting machine perfectly.
That's one of my favorite tops you got going on
my
there.
paper cutter.
Yeah. Happy Crafternoon,
Yes.
everybody. Glad you're with us here today.
So we're going to have fun. Tom, you've seen this technique before, but isn't it just like mesmerizing every time you see it?
It is. I'm looking forward to it, and we have already a few questions about this product. So we'll try to get to all of those.
Yes.
Wonder if wax paper on cardstock can be used with Gina K Designs Fuse. Uh-oh.
Yeah, I tried using it with the fuse. It didn't work. So I'm going to go over a lot of that kind of stuff today.
All right, there you go.
Okay.
So let's get into it. I'll get out of your way.
All right, sounds good. All right, so we're going to be using wax paper. Now let's take a look. This is just wax paper that you can get at Target or Walmart or any of those stores. It is different than parchment paper. So it is not the same. If you have baking parchment paper at home, it will not work. You actually need the wax coating on this wax paper to make it work. So that's the first thing. Now, I'm not 100% sure if it's called something different in other countries, but it definitely needs to have a wax coating on it to make it work. And I did check when I was looking for a photograph of wax paper today. The reason why I was looking is because I couldn't remember if it was called waxed paper or wax paper, and I wanted to try to get it right. And I found this exact wax paper on Target.com. So if you shop online, I'm sure you can find it on Amazon and other places like that. But it's so fun to use. Now, I did try this technique with the fuse, and I did not get exactly the same results as I get with an iron. So you might want to use an iron. An iron is pretty cheap. You can get a cheap iron. It doesn't have to be a good one. They actually make craft irons too that are very small. But of course, because they're cute and small, they cost a lot more. You could probably get the cheapest iron in the world on a place like Amazon or at Walmart or Target. So just go ahead and pick up an iron if you don't have one. I wouldn't use a good iron. I would use a cheap iron for this, but if all you have is your good iron, then don't worry about it. Go ahead and use your good iron. Just make sure that you protect your iron from getting wax on it by using the techniques that I show in today's video. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my paper cutter, and I'm going to cut down this wax paper. Let me just trim this down a little bit more with a pair of scissors first, because it is a little bit bigger than my paper cutter here. So I'm just cutting it down so that I can get it into my paper cutter. I probably didn't need this big of a piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with this piece of wax paper, and I'm going to cut it to about 5.5 inches. And it might be a little hard to see, but it's at the 5.5 inch mark. And then I'm going to cut a nice straight edge on this side. Just get rid of that mark that has all the teeth marks in it. And then I'm going to cut this to 4.25 inches. All right. So there we go. So I have a piece of paper that measures the same as an A2 card. I'm going to cut another one here. We're going to just want to make sure that that is right about an A2 size. Okay, well, we'll start with these two, and then we'll cut some more later when we're ready. Now, the first technique is the most basic technique, and it's a technique that I taught originally on my YouTube channel probably 18 years ago. So one of the very first techniques that I ever taught was wax paper, and it was so much fun back then, and it's still fun today. So what you want to do is you want to use a soft, when I say soft, I mean a very smooth cardstock. You're going to get the best results the smoother your cardstock. So I recommend using the Gina K Designs Layering Weight White for this. And I'm going to cut 2 pieces of A2 cardstock. So here we go. I've got my 2 pieces of A2 cardstock. And you're going to use 2 pieces of cardstock for every 1 piece of wax paper that you create. And the reason for that is because there's wax on both sides, and each side is going to give you a different look. Now, you're not going to notice it so much on the first design that I show you, but as we move through some of these other techniques, you'll notice the difference in the 2 sides more and more as we go. And one isn't better than the other. One side isn't better than the other. They're just different, okay? So for the basic wax paper technique, what you're going to do is you're going to take this piece of wax paper and you're going to crinkle it up. All right? So we're crinkling it all up to put lots of marks into that waxed paper. And once again, you do not want to use parchment paper for this because parchment paper does not have wax on it. You have to use something that has wax, a wax coating, which is wax paper. Okay, and now I'm just going to smooth that all out. All right, and then I'm going to take 1 piece of white cardstock and place it down on a scrap piece of paper. I'm going to lay my wax paper on top of it, and then I'm going to put another piece of white cardstock on top. All right. Now, there is the possibility that my wax paper is going to stick out of the sides a little bit, or as it heats and the wax melts, that some wax could ooze out just a tiny bit. Not that you can see it, but enough that it can ruin your iron. So I have a piece of just plain thin copy paper, and I'm going to just place that on top. That's going to protect my iron, especially if the only iron you have is your good iron that you actually use for clothing. You don't want to get wax on that iron. You want to make sure that you keep your iron clean. And now I've already heated my iron up to the highest setting, so it's super, super hot. And I am going to iron this sandwich that I just made. And I'm going to really put the heat on it. And I'm going to go back and forth with some pressure. And I know it seems like it should really work well with the fuse, but I didn't get as good of a result using the fuse as I did with the iron. And I've got this piece of cardstock here underneath to protect my work surface. And you can see I got some moisture here that seeped out of my iron, but you don't want to put water in your iron. Sometimes it's going to be just from the heat up against your hard surface. You will get some moisture on your tabletop. Don't do it on a good tabletop. Do it if you have granite or quartz. You can do it on that kind of tabletop. but I always put a piece of cardstock underneath to protect it. And if you don't want to do it on a laminate tabletop or a wood tabletop, just do it on your ironing board. That's totally fine. Okay, so now the tricky part about this next segment here is you can't see the wax on here. I don't care how close you look or with a magnifying glass, it's virtually impossible to see it. So you have to remember which side your wax is on. Now I've got wax on both sides here. I've got wax on this side and I've got wax on this side. I can slightly see it, but not enough that if I just tossed them all in a pile and went to do this later, it would be, 50-50 chance for me that I would try the right side. Now, it's not a big deal. If you start ink blending on that wrong side, you just flip it over and ink blend on the right side. But, if you're going to do it right away, you're going to just turn it over. Now, I can slightly feel the wax on here, very, very slightly. But I still think it's a lot better to just turn them over so that you know which side you want to use. Okay, so now both of these are going to look a little bit different because they had a different pattern on one side versus the other side. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a brown ink for this because I feel like this technique really looks almost like an animal print. I love the way it looks. It's awesome for autumn cards and it has just a cool animal print texture. But of course you can do it with other colors. But I'm going to just do my first one with a brown. So let me find a brown ink here. I'll do some warm cocoa to show you what this looks like. And I'm going to use my ink stand here. And now I'm going to just ink up this blending brush with some warm cocoa. And then I'm going to start blending ink over this. And you can see this super cool texture that I'm going to get from that waxed paper. You see, doesn't it look kind of like an animal print? It's got such a cool look about it. And you can mix colors together. So let me get another ink stand here. If you wanted to mix some greens in there, we could.
Looks to me like a map of ancient Rome.
This does? Mm-hmm. Like an overview?
Yes.
So I'm going to use a little jelly bean here to get some greens in the mix, just so that you can kind of see. Greens and browns always look good together. So, if you had some giraffe stamps or you had some elephant stamps and you wanted to kind of make it look like an African safari, this would be a really fun little background pattern to have behind it. Isn't that fun? Such a cool technique. Or maybe you have other little animal stamps. You're doing like a forest scene or something. You can see how cute that is. And then I would use one of the master layouts or just my paper cutter to trim this down. Now, remember, you definitely want to, what's happening here is a resist, right? It's resisting everywhere that the wax is, it's resisting the ink. So whenever you're doing a resist, like emboss resist or Versamark resist or any of that kind of stuff, the ink lays on the top of your cardstock. So you want to make sure that you take a paper towel and you just rub all of the excess ink. You can see that ink coming off. See that? That's just the wet ink that was resting on top of the wax. Where it didn't have wax, it's seeped down into the cardstock. But look at that cool pattern you get from that. Isn't that fun? I love that. And then you could trim that down with either a master layout set, or you can just, take it down to whatever size you normally like to work with.
Yvette said, if you try it with the lightest blue you have, it will look like cracked glass.
that's what we're going to do then. I got to try it because I got another one here. So we're going to try making cracked glass. All right, so that's what that looks like. So there's one panel. Now I'm going to clean this mat here because I don't want any of this brown or green to go on my light blue. So I wonder if I should use blue sky or if I should use ocean mist. What do you think, Tom? Ocean mist might be a good one.
Ocean mist. Yeah, that does look like kind of a Madagascar kind of theme.
Right? Absolutely. Okay. So now I've cleaned that off. Now we're going to try, and that's a great suggestion. I love that suggestion. So I can't wait to try it. Let me find my ocean mist here. So ocean mist we're going to try. And we're going to see if it looks like cracked glass. I bet it will.
Tammy wants to know, if you were stamping images, would you stamp before the wax paper technique or after?
Before. Because the ink from the stamped image will resist everywhere that there's wax. So you wouldn't be able to get a crisp enough image. So if you wanted to stamp first, or if you wanted to stamp, then definitely stamp first. Okay, so here we go. We're going to try this cracked glass look using some ocean mist. Now this has the opposite pattern of this, so it's going to look a little bit different, but not too much because it was just a crinkled look. All right, let's see. Ooh, look at that. Oh, that's so pretty. Oh, the blue is really pretty. Yeah, it does kind of look like cracked glass.
Or ice.
Or ice, yeah. What a great background for a Christmas card or a snowman card, because it just kind of also has like a blizzardy look about it, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Oh, that's really pretty. So, a similar type of pattern, but a little bit different because it was just the opposite side, but you still get a really, really cool look from it. Okay, so I'm gonna wipe that down with my paper towel here, and then I'll show you a little bit closer what that looks like. It's really pretty. Very cool. All right, I'm going to trim this one down just to get rid of the raw edges. Now, if you wanted to go completely A2, you know, you wanted it to go all the way to the edge, then cut your wax paper bigger and just make sure you always use that piece of copy paper to make sure that you don't get any wax on your iron. So there are our two traditional wax paper designs. One for an African safari and one that's perfect for a Christmas card, snow, cracked glass, cracked ice. Very, very pretty. Jack Frost painting, yes.
Donna wants to know, does the wax damage the blending brush?
Not at all. It doesn't move. Once it's on there, it stays on there and it won't damage your brushes at all. Okay, so that's our first technique. Now, our next technique that we're going to do is we are going to do another crinkly one where we just crinkle. Let me get 2 more pieces of white cardstock. All right, so we need 2 A2 size pieces. There we go. And we're going to go ahead and crinkle this up. Ooh, little ASMR. Do it into the microphone. Some people love ASMR sounds. Some people hate them. So I'm sorry if you don't love it. But there we go. I also think that, like, if you like to do art journaling or you like to do more vintage style cards, that kind of background and then tearing the edge and maybe inking along the edge, it's just a really, really, just a cool look. Okay, so now I'm going to put one piece down and then I'm going to smooth out my waxed paper on top. There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and put my other piece down. I'm going to get my sheet of copy paper to protect my iron. And then I'm going to iron again. All right. So you can see I'm giving it a good amount of heat. And I think maybe that's why the fuse doesn't work as well, because it just passes it right through the machine a little bit more quickly and it doesn't get quite as much heat on it. Now I did empty out all the water that was in this iron, but again, you know, we still get the humidity that's building up on my work surface here. Okay, so now we're going to open this up. We've got wax on one side and wax on this side. Now, once you've made one, it's pretty much done. You can't really use it again. However, it's a super cool look. Let me see if I have a card over here that I can grab. Let me just find one like bright card. All right, it's a super cool substitution for vellum. So if you wanted the look of vellum, it's got a texture in it that is different than vellum. It looks almost like a leathery texture, but you can use that to kind of mute something that you wanted to maybe put something on top of. So you don't have to throw these away. You actually can use them in place of vellum for a different look other than vellum. So you can see it's got just a, let me see if I have a darker piece of cardstock here. See, it's got that like cool texture to it. So definitely you could keep these and use them for other things. All right, now let's get this ink blending set up again. I'm going to use the bottom one this time first. Now, this is a really cool backdrop for stencils. So if you were going to do a sunflower, say, and here is the spectacular sunflower. Let's say you wanted to do this big sunflower. I wonder if I have all the pieces. Sure I do. Okay. So I'm going to just put this over here off to the side like this. And then I'm going to just cover this leaf with a little pixie tape so we don't have to worry about that. Okay. Now I'm going to get a good yellow here. I'm going to use sweet corn. So we'll do some sweet corn here. This just jazzes up your whole look of your stenciling. So it creates, instead of just doing a regular ink blended look, you're getting a textured ink blended look over or under your stencil design. Isn't that so pretty? It just makes it look so much more interesting. And what's cool about it is as you do the different layers of these layering stencils, you don't have to worry that your texture is going to change. Look how pretty that is. Isn't that fun? It almost looks like sun-baked a little bit. I'm going to throw all my stencils on the floor and worry about them later. So let's do layer 2 here and see how this looks. But you see what I mean? Like, you don't have to worry at all about where the texture is, where if you were like using another stencil on top of this, doing the double stenciling technique, and you wanted to keep moving stencils around, you kind of have to line things up a little bit better. This is just super simple, but it creates such a unique look. Let me get a brown here. We'll do warm cocoa again. Boy, for it being summer, I'm using a lot of warm autumny tones here, but it's just what I grabbed on the way in. I know you guys understand. Okay, so let's go ahead and add a little bit of brown to this.
Working with Gina K rules here.
Exactly. All right, so I'm just going to do that little bit of brown there, and then I'm going to just wipe that off. And then I'm going to mix in some butterscotch. So I just wanted it a little bit deeper there, but now I'm going to mix in butterscotch. So butterscotch is going to give me a nice complementary color to that sweet corn. All right. It almost has a hint more orange in it, but it's still a yellow, which is nice for this sunflower. But isn't this fun? You're going to want to like get all your stencils out and try this to see how this looks together. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? It's so different, right? Just so completely different. And then we'll add this circle in here. We'll do this with the warm cocoa. And obviously, because I'm showing you so many techniques today, I don't know if I'll turn these all into cards, but you guys have seen me use a lot of these products in cards already. And all you have to do is find a sensation, is that what that's called? What's this called? Spectacular sunflower. Just find a stencil video that I've done on this and just step it up with the waxed paper. Look at that. Isn't that fun? I know it does look like a real sunflower, right? And it's so different. It's so bright and vibrant and textured. It's just a beautiful look. So dig through all of your stencils. You can also use just regular background stencils. So if you have our water droplets, or you have our stepping stones, or any just a simple Art Deco, it just changes it because it gives you that cool pattern design, but all in between, you've got this cool texture that you wouldn't have had otherwise. So isn't that fun? All right, so that's another idea. Now, let's try something else. All right, let me close these up. Get the ink pads out of the way so I don't mess up my next piece of wax paper. Okay, so I also have to clean this little thing here because we'll be using it again. I don't want yellow on it. And I'll take pictures of all of these so you'll be able to see them all up close. All right. And I'll post them on YouTube, on my post tab, and also in our Facebook group. Now, I'm going to get a little more wax paper here.
It's cool when something you're working on instantly becomes three-dimensional.
I know, isn't that cool? And I didn't even struggle with the ink blending on that, right? I just added a little bit of just shading, but the texture just grabs so much of it and just steps it up so much. Okay, so let me get this in here. I just want to cut it in half. And I probably should put my glasses on so I can see. Okay. So now the next thing that we're going to do is we're not going to crinkle the wax paper. Let me pull this in. I'm still going to do a quarter sheet And then just make sure that that is an A2 size. Okay.
Sue wants to know, do you need to use the wax paper immediately, or can you have them ready for another time?
Oh, you can have them ready for another time. I've had this same roll of wax paper in my cabinet for years. And the wax paper, you know, oh, you mean the ink blending part? Yeah, you can, once it's got the wax on there, you can just store them and grab them and ink them up months later. Yeah, it's not a big deal. All right, so now I want to show you, I'm going to use a 2D embossing folder. So I think I'll use this heart one. I mean, there's so many here that I could use, but I want to use something that has like a bigger design in it. All right, and now I'm going to get the intricate here. And instead of crinkling up this piece of wax paper, we're actually going to let the, here it is. We're actually going to let the wax paper, the embossing folder, put the dents into the wax paper. Okay? So I'm going to place this piece of wax paper into my 2D embossing folder. All right, and then I'm going to turn it to 2D embossing, and I'm going to run it through. I think do I need the top plate on here? I haven't done 2D embossing in a while, so I think I might need the top plate on here. Yeah, I do. Okay, so I'm running this through. It may feel a little loose, so if it doesn't give you enough of an impression, you can always crank it up and send it through a second time, but I think that'll be pretty good. It's just because wax paper is so thin. But you can see now I have, instead of all the crinkles, I have a heart design. Now this isn't going to give me a crisp heart design. It's going to give me a textured, crinkly looking heart design. That's what I want here. I want something that's going to look a little bit different and give me a little bit of extra texture. Okay.
So this morning you asked yourself 2D or not 2D?
2D or not 2D? Yeah. That's funny. All right, so I'm going to cut another piece of, I'm going to cut two here. I'm going to cut two pieces of white cardstock, all at the same time, because I'm not worried about it, because I'll trim it down later, but I want to have some extra pieces, so I'm not constantly cutting. Okay, let's put this over here. Now, this is my other textured one that it was the other side of this one. So I need two new pieces. So I've got one brand new one here. I'm going to put my heart design down onto this piece of cardstock, and then I'm going to place my other piece on top. Then I'm going to get that same piece of copy paper to protect my iron, just in case there's any wax that oozes out or the wax paper's cut a little big. And I'm going to go ahead once again and iron this. And I'm ironing the heck out of it. You know, I'm putting some pressure on there. I'm really letting the heat get to it. Okay, that should do it. Over there. And let's go ahead and take one out. And now we have our two sides. Now I'm going to ink blend both of these sides for you so that you can see how different the two different sides look. Because remember, when you emboss, one side presses out and one side presses in. This is also a really cute little piece to keep because although it's completely flat now, it does have that little heart pattern in it. I don't know if you can see that, but it's got that little heart pattern in it. So if you wanted a piece of vellum-looking material that had a little bit of a pattern in it, it looks a lot better in real life than it does on the camera. It's easier to see in real life.
And the iron, again, you use that on the hottest setting.
The hottest setting, yeah. I got it all the way up, cranked all the way up. Okay, so let's do a fun bright pink for this so we can really see it. Shall we use petunia? Let's use petunia. Okay, so we're going to use petunia. Welcome, everybody. It's great to see all of you here today. We're having a fun technique day today. All right, so we've got our new petunia. Now, I don't know which side this was, whether it's the indented side or the side that protrudes outward, but I want you to see the difference in the look that you get. All right, so see these cool crinkly hearts? I'll show you up close in just a little bit. Let me just cover this panel. But it's such a pretty look. And for those of you who've watched my video on using your stencils as an embossing folder, you'll find that in my intracut video, my deep dive into the intracut, all the different things that you can do with the intracut. That's a really fun video, and it shows you how to use your stencils as embossing folders to create an embossed design. So that opens up a whole new world of patterns and things that you can create using this wax paper technique too. All right. So let's wipe this down.
Well, that would be hard for me to figure out how you did that.
If you saw just a card like this?
Yes.
I know, right? You'd be like, wait, I don't understand. What did you do here? Let's trim down the edges, and then I will bring this closer to the camera. I'm just getting them all pretty close to the same size so that when I lay them out in the picture, you'll be able to see them nicely.
And a question, does any wax buildup on the cutter need to be cleaned off?
No, it doesn't hurt the cutter at all. But see that hearty design, that heart? Okay. Now I'm going to show you how different the other side looks, because I think they look pretty different. So I'll show them side by side once we get the other one done. Got a mess here. I'm an ink blendy mess. Remember, don't clean your mat with alcohol, but you can clean your hands in your workstation, your workspace. Okay, so here's the other one. I'm going to just put it right in the empty hole here. Okay, and we'll use the same color just so that we can really get a look at the difference between them. So this one, I feel like you can see the hearts better. So this must have been the side that was solid onto, the hearts were more solid onto the cardstock, as opposed to the other one where it looks like you've just got the perimeters of the hearts. This is just more vibrant and obvious that they're hearts. And then we'll wipe away that excess ink. Gonna need another paper towel. Okay. And we'll look at the difference between them. So you may like one side better for a certain project, and the other side may not matter that much to you.
So Lynn asks, what do you think this would do with 3D folders?
Well, hold on to your hat, because that's what we're going to do next. Okay, so can you see the difference here where these are more solid? Because this is where that heart was pushed out against the paper. This, you could see more of the outline. because this is the side where it was recessed, so all you had was the little outline. But they're both obviously hearts. And so rather than just a crinkled pattern, you do have a little crinkling because it can't help but crinkle when you iron it, but you actually have a design. So that's a cool way to use your 2D embossing folders. Okay. Now for the 3D embossing folders, that's going to be my last technique that I want to show you. What we're going to do is we're not going to emboss the wax paper. We're going to crinkle the wax paper, and then we're going to iron the cardstock. Then we're going to go back and 3D emboss that. So let's go ahead and give that a try and see what that looks like. Okay, so once again, we need 2 blank pieces of white. We need a piece of wax paper. I'm going to make this piece of wax paper bigger than my pieces of white because I do want it to go all the way to the edge, because my flowers are going to go all the way to the edge. So this is definitely one of those times where you are going to want to use that top sheet of copy paper. All right, so we're going to crinkle this up. Oh, a fern embossing folder would look beautiful. Yeah, leaves, autumn leaves. Some of the more solid, chunky, like our holiday flora would look really good for holiday cards. And also, even if you use the more intricate embossing folders, like our Petite Flourish, you're still going to see all the vining and everything through there. So it won't just look crinkly, it'll have all the vines in there. So we want to make sure that we really get like all good crinkles in here. Because sometimes you just get an area that's not crinkled enough and then it doesn't really do much. So you really want to kind of like get in there and crinkle it.
And Christine wanted to know, what if you don't crinkle? Probably it would be a very minimal effect, right?
Yeah, it'll just kind of be not much. Not much. You really need the whole idea is to lay wax down in a texture, so that when you ink blend over it, the texture kind of comes out. It's very magical. Okay, so here we go. We've got a nice big piece there. And then I'm going to put this on top. And I need my piece of copy paper. All right, here we go. And I made this wax paper bigger once again because I really want to take it end to end. You can kind of see the wax on the copy paper now, so I probably won't reuse this copy paper because it has so much wax on it that if I, do it on the wrong side, it might ruin my iron. But to be honest with you, the only thing I iron is wax paper. I don't really iron anything else. The last thing that I did iron was Tom's shirt for the wedding. And before that, it was probably 4 years that I picked up an iron. But I do have a good iron at home that I use for clothes. This is my craft iron. Okay. So, let's see how this looks. I think it's going to be good. Okay, now I have to remember which side is wax up on this side. So I've got those. And I'll keep that because that, again, that's pretty nice for mock vellum. Now I'm going to get my die cutting machine here. And I'm going to pick a 3D embossing folder. So I grabbed a couple of them just on the way in. I could use the one from the kit again, the fancy Dogwood. That would probably be a really good one to use. I'll use the one from the kit because I think we're almost we're almost done selling the kits, so this will be the last call. Okay, and now we want to make sure that we put this piece of cardstock in the right way. So you want to feel where it's sunk in, and then you want to feel where it's bumpy, okay? And you want the bumpy part to press up so that the wax part goes into the inset part here, all right? So the bumpy part is here. We're going to put this right in here, like that, and then we're going to close that up. Okay. Now I'm going to turn that to 2D. It's already turned to 2D, but I don't need the top plate when I use our 3D folders. And I'm going to send this through. And I'm not misting my paper first. I know, this is really wax on, wax off, right, Laura? Okay. So there we go.
Whoa.
We've got that beautiful embossed image. And let's see what happens when we start to ink blend over this. So I think I'm going to use some of the lavenders. I'm going to use a different one of these sticky mats. I've got a bunch of sticky mats here. That other one I want to clean a little better.
Alice wants to know, Tom, what did you play on your sax for the wedding? Well, I played What a Wonderful World. It's one of Rena's favorite songs when she was a little girl.
Yeah,
And
so sweet.
So it was great fun.
Okay, so I'm going to take any one of these and I'm going to lay this on top. And I think I'm going to use the lilacs for this. So I'm going to use light lilac and medium lilac. And just to be safe, because this is an older sticky mat, I'm just going to put a little pixie tape on there. Okay, let me grab those colors. So, light lilac and medium lilac. And then I'm going to take this brush. I don't know what's on this brush, but I feel it might be a little darker, so I'm going to just kind of scrub some of that color off. So we're starting with the light lilac. And we're going to go lighter as we go out. Oh, how cool is this? Guys, look at that. Just all that cool texture, yet we still have 3D embossing. It's so fun. Now, we're going to create some depth in there. With our medium lilac, and we're going to use a detail brush for this. So we'll get some medium lilac and we'll add some of this detail. This is so fun. So I don't think that this would work the same way with the technique that we used for the 2D embossing, because most of our 3D embossing folders are actual individual designs. And when I say that, you know, you've got a flower or you've got a butterfly or you've got an ornament, where most of the 2D folders are patterns. So if you have a pattern 3D embossing folder, you certainly could try that and see how that looks. But I don't know that it's going to look that much different than the 2D. And I'm going to take whatever's left on there and just kind of blend some of that darker so that it goes out just a little bit more. Okay. So let's take that layer off. Isn't that beautiful? That's so fun. Oh, I love this.
You could get a job designing flowers for like Star Trek movies on other planets and stuff.
Yeah, these would definitely be other planetary florals for sure. All right, Tom, well, I'm going to do this same thing again on this one. And I think, I don't know, I didn't even ask you, do you have a word of the day for today?
Do I have a word of the day? Let her rip.
Word of the day, oh hey, hooray, let's laugh it up, don't delay. Word of the day, it's here to stay.
Okay, time for word of the day. Got a twofer today.
A twofer?
So if you were sitting back, it's been a long time since some of you have used wax paper in your crafting, and you just were looking for ideas. It's been a while, and you needed things to get moving. And then this video came along of Gina. You could say that it was kind of a waxative, a creative waxative to get things moving along down the line, right? And then you find yourself doing one after the other and all different styles and using different embossing folders, and you all of a sudden are experiencing rewaxation. Rest and rewaxation.
That's awesome. That's great. You tied it in.
Right back
How creative.
to the dead space.
That's very funny. I love that. Good job, Tom. Making it all tie in.
Waxative.
Waxative. And then I'm taking that brush again and I'm just going to take whatever medium is left on there and just kind of work it in a little bit to help the blend. Okay. It's very funny. Look at those.
Wow.
Aren't they cool? They're very cool. Okay. So now let's just put our centers into these flowers. Oh, we've got another little spot here.
If they were real flowers, they'd be thinking, we are styling.
Right? So I'm just going to use this medium lilac for these little parts right here, just to darken them. I love these little parts of the stencil. I love how they just add that little dimension. And then I'm going to add some butterscotch into the centers. So it's risky not cleaning the stencil because yellow and purple make a beautiful shade of brown together, but we'll take our chances. I think I can aim well into the centers here. You're not going to see too much texture in there just because it's not very much space. But it'll give us that little bright pop of color. And then we just have to do the leaves. Look at that. It's fun, isn't it? So we've got 2 layers of leaves here. We'll do some more vibrant greens. So we'll do the big layer first. And we'll use some jelly bean. I I have jelly bean close by. Oh, my greens were right there. That's fun. Shift that just a little bit. We'll use some jelly bean on these. And what's so fun is you don't just get the dimension from the 3D folder. You don't just get the depth and dimension from the ink blending, but now you've got this whole extra level of excitement because you have all of that beautiful texture coming in from the waxed paper. Super, super cute. Just different. And people will definitely wonder, how did she do that? Or he, how did they do that? Okay, I'm going to get some fresh asparagus here and just add a little bit of depth close to the inside edges. Just a little fresh asparagus, like right in here. Because why not, right?
Here's a question.
One of my favorites. Go ahead.
Would the pattern show if you inked the embossing folder before running it through?
If you ink the embossing folder, I mean, it'll show a little. It's just probably not going to show the same way as like getting your blending brush down in there and creating some of that, you know, that pressure from the ink. But you could try it for sure. Wow. And we'll do the very last layer. What do you think of this one, Tom?
Breathtaking.
Isn't it fun?
Dawn said she's definitely going to try this today with a friend that is new to card making.
Oh, you're going to blow her mind.
Jumping right in.
Yeah, you're going to blow her mind. I'm going to use those same two greens, but you could definitely use different greens here if you wanted to. You're going to blow her mind. She's going to be like, what? I have an iron. You can tell her, yeah, you already have a craft supply at home. You have wax paper and an iron. You're ready to go. And we'll get a little of that darker color in there. And then I'm just going to dab my paper towel on top of all of this. I'll show you what I'm going to do to kind of wipe off the excess ink.
And then 2 weeks down the line, her spouse is wondering, why are my pants suddenly water resistant?
Yeah, right. Okay. But just in a weird pattern. Okay, so now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this paper towel and I am going to take this off first. And I'm going to place my paper towel on top of the design, and I'm just going to kind of rub so that it's just absorbing any ink without like spreading it around. So I'm not going to rub all over, but I'm kind of like blotting up the excess ink this way. There we go. Okay. And there is that super cool 3D design with all of that texture. So we've got a 3D embossing folder look with crinkled texture from the wax paper. We've got a 2D embossing folder background, both sides. One side uses the raised part of the wax paper and one side uses the opposite side of the wax paper. So we've got those cute little hearts. And then, I think this one might be one of my favorites. We've got that beautiful wax paper layering stencil design. Yeah, I love this one too. So pretty. And then we've got just the simple, basic waxed paper design. Great for animals and safaris and camping and all that kind of stuff. And also this beautiful one that was suggested that it looks like cracked glass or maybe just a snowy blizzard back there. So all of these fun little 3D, well, all these fun little wax paper techniques done with embossing folders and stencils. So, which one's your favorite, Tom? You knew I was going to ask.
You always do that.
I know.
Okay, so I am definitely having fun looking at the last one.
This one?
Yeah, that really, and then the 3D sphere on the
sunflower?
Yeah. Oh my.
That's fun too.
Mesmerizing, but I could spend just as much time
Looking at the others?
on the others as well. So
Now, I want to tell you, we just crinkled the paper for this, and we just crinkled the paper for this. But if you took a pattern like this one, which is our Petite Flourish, and you ran the piece of wax paper through this, you would get a Petite Flourish design like this one, but you could put the stencil over it, and then instead of just crinkles, you'd actually have that flourish design underneath these flowers and underneath this sunflower. So many different combinations that you can try.
or what if you just folded many times over, folded the
Like make lines in it.
instead of crinkling it?
Yeah, I mean, try all the things. There's so many different things that you should try. And I think that, you'd be surprised how cool some of those different folds and creases and things will actually turn out. Yeah. All right, well, this was so much fun. Now, if you're new here, we would love it if you would give this video a thumbs up. And if you're not new here, we'd love you to give the video a thumbs up. But if you're new, hit the subscribe button and then all notifications so you never miss another video. We're going to give away a gift card, so don't go away. And then if you are new to Gina K Designs and you haven't joined our Facebook group, we'd love to have you over there. The name of our Facebook group is Gina K Designs and Stamp TV Friends. It's the group with 50,000 members. Come on over and join us, answer those questions so we know you're a real crafter, and agree to our group rules, and then come on in and see. There's literally thousands of projects in that group using Gina K Designs products, and there's a file section that has all kinds of printables for you, and color charts and color combinations and swatching charts and all kinds of fun things that are all free to you for being a group member. All right, and then a big shout out to Brianne Loveland. Brianne, thank you so much for being here and sharing all the links for the products that I used today. But if you missed any of Brianne's links, you can find everything that I used in today's video on our website at ginakdesigns.com. All right, Tom, let's give away a $15 gift card to one lucky winner.
Drum roll! Here we go. Today's winner is Stuart Moore, 718. Stuart
Yay,
Moore!
Stuart! Congratulations, Stuart. You are our winner. You're going to get a $15 Gina K Designs gift card. You can use it anytime you want because they never expire. All you have to do is send your name and email address to info@ginakdesigns.com and they'll get that emailed over to you. Now, next Tuesday night is our new release. We have a brand new card kit coming and some beautiful things from our illustrators. So we hope you will join us for that. The fun is going to start at 7 p.m. Central Time right here on YouTube. Our illustrators are going to be joining us and showing us some beautiful projects that they made with their new stuff. And wait till you see this new kit. It's pretty cool. I'll be sharing sneak peeks starting this weekend on Saturday in our Facebook group. And then after I share a few of them, then I'll pop them into our Instagram account too. So join us for all of the fun and save the date for next Tuesday night. All right, everybody. Well, we'll look forward to seeing you then. And in the meantime, stay safe and healthy. We love you all so very much. And we'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.